I want to tell you about Maya. Not because her story is unusual, but because it isn't. She woke up most mornings to silence. Phone face down on the nightstand, the space between messages growing wider. The early light would filter through her bedroom curtains, and she'd lie there, convincing herself this was normal. That all relationships go through phases. That love sometimes looks like waiting. Maya had become an expert at practical excuses. At the kitchen sink, water running over her hands, she'd watch her coffee cool untouched and think, he's just stressed. Work is hard right now. We're both tired. She'd learned to fill the silence with explanations that felt reasonable enough to repeat. The commute home became her thinking time. Dashboard lights glowing in the dusk. The same route every day. The same thoughts circling back. She kept waiting for something to shift. For the version of him she remembered to return. Waiting became its own kind of routine, steady and predictable as the passing streetlights. She didn't notice at first how much energy it took. How she'd started measuring her days by what didn't happen instead of what did. The late nights scrolling through her phone, thumb hovering over old photos she couldn't bring herself to open. Selective memory felt safer than the full picture. She'd remember the good days in high definition, and let the difficult ones blur at the edges, convincing herself the ratio still made sense. There were moments when the truth would surface. Sitting on the edge of her bed, Maya would compose a message. Something honest, something that asked for what she needed. Her thumbs would hover. She'd read it back, edit it, soften it, then delete the whole thing. The effort of staying had become invisible to everyone else, but she felt it in her bones. Every careful word. Every swallowed question. She'd pause in doorways sometimes. Hand on the frame, one foot in the room, one foot still in the hallway. The truth was becoming harder to ignore. She was terrified of starting over. The thought of rebuilding her life from nothing felt heavier than the discomfort of staying. At least here, she knew what to expect. At least familiar pain had a predictable shape. Maya found herself standing too long in ordinary places. The grocery aisle, holding a jar she didn't need, staring at nothing. These small freezes in her day when her mind would drift to the question she kept avoiding. When did comfort become the same thing as settling? The apartment felt different now. She'd sit on the couch, TV playing low, blue light washing over her face, but she wasn't really watching. She wasn't really there. You can be lonely right next to someone. She was learning that the hard way. The silence between them had become its own language. Not the comfortable kind that comes from knowing each other deeply. The hollow kind that comes from running out of things to say. She was living around him instead of with him, and the saddest part was how gradually it had happened. How she'd adjusted to less and less without noticing she was shrinking her life to fit his indifference. It happened in the bathroom mirror one evening. Soft overhead light, her reflection looking back at her with steady breath. The thought arrived quietly, without drama. Love shouldn't require this much convincing. She'd spent months, maybe years, telling herself she stayed because she loved him. But love doesn't feel like this, and she understood. She didn't stay because of love. She stayed because leaving meant admitting she'd stayed too long. Because fear dressed itself up as loyalty, and she'd believed it. That night she looked out her window at the city lights, the distant hum of traffic, and she rested her phone face down on the table. She turned off the lamp. Not because she'd made a decision about what comes next, but because she'd finally made a decision about what was true. Maya didn't leave that night. She didn't send the message or have the conversation. But something shifted. She stopped pretending. She stopped convincing herself. And sometimes that's where it starts. Not with the ending, but with finally admitting the truth. She didn't stay for love. And knowing that changed everything.